ever.
Donald Trump is here tonight.
It was April 30th, 2011, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a ballroom packed with elites, politicians, journalists, and celebrities. But what they didn't know was that they had just created their worst nightmare.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Sitting in the crowd that night was Donald Trump. Not yet a politician, just an extremely rich businessman. A guy who dared to challenge the system and got mocked for it.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
For weeks, Trump had been hammering Obama on his birthplace of Kenya. And the media, they couldn't handle it. So they did what the elites do best. They tried.
This is a video that Trump posted on Truth Social. I guess he has spiraled badly enough to just be reduced to watching fan videos about him and about how, I guess, we're led to believe, which is the conclusion of this video, that because at a comedic event, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a satirical event, they mocked Trump. That's what launched Trump's political career, which many people have speculated that. But many people on the left have made jokes about that because it sounds pretty ridiculous to run to lead the most powerful country on the planet and then to win because you got your fifis hurt when Obama mocked your lies about his birth and birth certificate. Race baiting lies that were so transparent. So while this video is hyping up the fact that this led to Trump running for president and his political career, to me, it is a really embarrassing phenomenon that he was, number one, sensitive enough, and number two, was launched into Republican stardom because he was making up a bunch of racist lies about Obama not being American. But Trump's now posting this on Truth Social, reflecting, as it feels like a lot of his MAGA base is upset with him over Epstein. He's reflecting on the good old days. Stuff like this.
Tried to humiliate him. And that night, Barack Hussein Obama took the stage and made Trump the punchline.
No one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
The room absolutely loved it. They weren't laughing at a joke, they were laughing at Trump. They wanted him small, embarrassed, and broken.
Guys, Trump watched this and said, yes, post. It's a joke. They're making a joke because you were being ridiculous. This is so weird. We talked about on yesterday's show how Alex Jones revealed that he's been talking to his friends in the administration. Yikes, that they're friends with Alex Jones. And something has, all of the stress and the age has, a little screw is loose for Trump. And so now he's just, imagine him, what time did he post this? Last night, around 10 p.m. He's just sitting, sulking, and reflecting on how Obama said I was small and a joke. I'm not a joke. I'm president now.
Obama kept swinging, mocking Trump's business, his TV show, and his ambition.
All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. Just recently, in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey.
Then came that fake image on the screen. The White House turned into a Trump casino.
Say what you will about Mr. Trump. He certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there.
The media howled, but Trump didn't move. That image, Trump sitting still while everyone else laughed, that was the moment. You can almost hear it in his head. Just you wait and see. Then it got worse.
Oh my gosh. So Trump, you're meaning to say that you're confirming the rumors that because you were petty and couldn't take a joke, you ran to be the leader of the free world? Really? because you wanted to own Obama. Now, here's something that people have discussed but needs more coverage. Trump has an unhealthy obsession with Obama. Somewhere deep down, all of this is out of jealousy for Obama. It's strange. Obama's just one president. But the fixation on him, when it wasn't even his political opponent directly, he is fixated on Obama, which brings us now to his latest conspiracy trying to accuse Obama of treason as a distraction effort. And that's what this is. Welcome, everybody, to the morning show. I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. It's great to be with you. We have a lot to discuss. We'll check in on the normal things, his Obama conspiracy, the Epstein updates. Ghislaine Maxwell is apparently being interviewed by a DOJ official today, and also something different, a little true crime story about, and I have the interview footage of just something I stumbled across, a serial killer who for 40 years got away with it, 40 plus years, and then totally got caught. But his interview is exactly all of the things you don't do when you're being accused of being a serial killer. He was really, really bad. He got away with it for 40 years, but in the 11th hour, he screwed up his interview with detectives oh so very badly. Now, if Trump didn't like those jokes, he's really not going to like these, which is that South Park, who just struck a huge deal with Paramount, okay, so Paramount's at the center of the whole bending the knee, getting rid of the Late Show, settling with Trump, and South Park, after striking this big deal, their first episode in their new season that they're getting paid a bunch of money by Paramount to produce is the most brutal set of jokes about Trump. Get ready. As people say, prepare the walls for some ketchup. South Park, the New Republic reports, eviscerates Trump and his teeny, tiny manhood. Now, I can't play this because I'm sure it's copyrighted. But let me read to you some of what happened in this episode. Now, I know if you're like me, you might be thinking, why doesn't South Park update their cartoons? Why, in an era where AI can make someone look totally human, do they still use such janky animations? But I've been informed that's a part of the genius. Apparently, people still find it very interesting. If we can just everyone hold for a second. I'm still ill and I felt something on my nose. So, pardon me. But South Park used its first new episode in 2 years to openly ridicule President Trump and Paramount, their own parent company. Yes! I'm now a South Park fan, I guess. You know the amount of times I said, what the hell is the deal with South Park? Why does everyone love it? I know many of you are going to be annoyed. It's fine. We can like different things. But I would ask, and then I have people go, no, you just don't get it. Come here, sit down, watch this episode. And I'm wildly bored. Is this for me, for adults? Okay, I guess it is. But this one, now I'm a fan. The episode titled Sermon on the Mount parodies much of the president's first 6 months, portraying him literally in bed with Satan. There he is. There's Satan, a very complex animation, and there's Trump, an even more complex animation. In the episode, the parents of South Park protest against Trump's insertion of prayer into their schools, and Trump threatens to sue them for $5 billion. Jesus himself then appears and asks the parents to simply capitulate. And then it goes through the quotes there. The episode also depicts Trump with an abnormally small penis, which he harasses Satan with while they're in bed together. So they're a couple in this episode. I didn't watch it, but I saw clips. And you don't have to zoom in on the small penis. On my preview monitor, Jaden started getting ready to zoom in on this. I can zoom in as much as I need to. That's about as much as I need to. Podcast listeners, imagine like the South Park type animations and Trump's face is slapped onto a little body that has a very small penis. This episode is particularly audacious as it comes after Paramount made two major concessions to Trump by ending The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and settling for $16 million because it didn't like the way 60 Minutes edited an episode with Kamala Harris during the 2024 campaign. This also comes as South Park Digital Studios announced their own $1.5 billion licensing deal with Paramount. Hard to think of anything more defiant in media and entertainment recently than Trey Parker and Matt Stone going scorched earth on Paramount in a South Park season premiere on the heels of netting a $1.5 billion deal with the very same company. That's awesome. That is so awesome to say, we don't care. Again, it's sort of, if you're tasked with being funny, which I guess South Park is, then you can't ignore that the funniest thing you could do in a moment like this is to make fun of Trump as he's going after everyone who dares to make fun of him. You have other headlines like this with more screen grabs from the episode. South Park depicts Trump with a micro penis in bed with Satan, an episode mocking Paramount settlement with Trump. Those are more interesting animations. And walks through in one scene, Trump threatens to sue a painter in the White House for portraying him with a small penis. So a lot of things about small penises, I guess. But this actually is, I know this sounds like just a silly, goofy story. This is a huge move by South Park to say, we just made this huge deal with Paramount, and we're going to spit in their face and say, there are enough of us that you capitulating to Trump is actually going to do the opposite of serving you well. Now, back to Trump's Truth Social feed. He also posted this video that I'll play for you here in just a second, but I do want to welcome everyone who is engaging in the chat live here. Dornez has been a member for a month and said, "This is the worst timeline, Luke. Thanks for making it easier." I try my very best. I appreciate that. The Picking Larker became a member by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. I'll read it out if you do it while we're still live. Joanne Garaffi? What? I'm sorry if I messed that up. I hate that I do that, but also became a member, and I appreciate you very much. Trump posted this, a part of Tulsi Gabbard's press conference that we covered thoroughly yesterday.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified Oversight Majority Staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern.
And then she goes on to explain what I already played for you a bunch in yesterday's show. You can reference that, but let's look at some of what his fans were saying in response. There needs to be consequences. Until that happens, nothing will be different. They did so much damage to this country with this, says one MAGA account. They caused you and your family such distress. They lied. Their lies created a deep division. Pam Bondi, please work on this and file charges. Perp walk them all the way. We voted to see the deep state drained. Wow. Just full on rooting on. What the heck is this meme? Rooting on retribution. Then someone posted a meme of Tulsi Gabbard pulling off the mask of Putin, and it's really Obama. Now, I don't even know how they square that. Very confusing. We demand justice, says someone. Gosh, let him go. Let him go. And it's just Obama's face. They want televised. This graphic says treason will never be tolerated in America. Apparently it will. Treasonous attempted government overthrowers got pardoned by Trump, so apparently it will.
Give me a joke.
Yeah, thank you, Mark Wayne. I don't feel like you say anything other than that, Mark Wayne. Weird. Limited vocabulary. But this person says, I want televised military tribunals. What do you think? I want to know what they think the crime is. What do they think the crime is? Treason? What do you mean? How are you going to prove that? Because he directed his intelligence community to figure out what it was that Russia did, and then we found a whole hell of a lot that they did? And that wasn't contradicted by Tulsi Gabbard's press conference just because she wore a very nicely what's it called when you send it to the dry clean suit and delivered it in the press briefing room doesn't make it legitimate. I think that works for them. She has documents. She's standing powerfully. She's speaking at the camera. And they go, all right, she must be right about treason. Did you read the documents? Did you listen to what she said, MAGA? Erga. Hey, Joe Scarborough responded to this, interestingly.
Down to the lowest of low expectations. Tulsi, congratulations. You just did it. And I think expectations may have been here. And I think you may have gotten, you can't even see it on the TV screen, but if you can see my right hand to be down here, Tulsi Gabbard, you are the winner of actually meeting the lowest of low expectations that were laid out for you. But all of this stuff is just leading to chaos, and maybe the president thinks.
I just want to say in terms of public, so correct. What he said there was correct. But I just want to do a PSA to America. We need to stop. There are other ways to accomplish the task you're looking for than licking your fingers before you turn the page. I promise. I've spent my whole life flipping pages, and I never have to lick 3 of my fingers beforehand.
It's just leading to chaos, and maybe the president.
I'm telling you, we can do it without it. No, lick yourself as much as you want. I don't care. It's a free country. So yeah, they got nothing so badly that it might take me a second to find this headline, but there was even Fox News opinion piece. On foxnews.com, Americans should beware of Gabbard's dangerous distraction with revisionist history of 2016. President Trump's intelligence director is pushing false narratives. This is a Fox News op-ed about Obama officials related to the 2016 election to divert attention from other problems. Ooh, even Fox, not all of them. Some of them are hyped up about this, but even some at Fox are not buying it. Thank you to Kevin Diggs Jr. for becoming a member. I appreciate you so much. Just clicking that join button is all it takes to get the bonus show. Owl Hippie as well, thank you. And Trickster C, I think. Tricksturk, also, thank you for becoming a member. For a very long time, our government was, at least nominally, on the side of fighting climate change, right? Let's fight it. Now, we finally have people who are fighting for climate change. There's always 2 sides of a battle, and the Trump administration is bravely saying, we will give a voice to the voiceless. We will fight for the unfought for climate change. The EPA is said to draft a plan to end its ability to fight climate change. It's attacking its own purpose. The Environmental Protection Agency is saying, what's all this environmental protection we're supposed to be doing? We don't wanna. Trump administration has drafted a plan to repeal a fundamental scientific finding that gives the United States government its authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions and fight climate change. So the thing that gives it the ability to do the thing it's there to do, they want to remove. The proposed Environmental Protection Agency rule rescinds a 2009 declaration known as the endangerment finding, which scientifically established that greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane endanger human lives, because they do. Every single time we research the outcomes, we learn that finding is the foundation of the federal government's only tool to limit the climate pollution from vehicles, power plants, and other industries that is dangerously heating the planet. The EPA proposal, which is expected to be made public within days, also calls for rescinding limits on tailpipe emissions that were designed to encourage automakers to build and sell more electric vehicles. Those regulations, which were based on the endangerment finding, were a fundamental part of the Biden administration's efforts to move the country away from gasoline-powered vehicles the transportation sector's largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. So, more pollution, pro-pollution, the pro-pollution movement. Maybe that's something you've longed for. Maybe you'll go to a protest. Stop the discrimination against pollution. It could be a sign. It could be a sign that you could have. Put that tailpipe in my mouth. Could be another one. Let me suck off a tailpipe. These are all options that could be on protest signs if you want to join the pro-pollution movement, as the EPA seems to be doing just that. Scary. That's not going to get as much coverage as South Park depicting Trump's micropenis, but it is a hell of a lot more important. And it means that our environment, they always word that, like Trump does that dumb bit where he says, the left wants us to care about the oceans rising 1/8 of an inch in 2,000 years. Silly. But just remember, what we're talking about here is that millions of Americans still don't have access to consistent, clean, and reliable drinking water. What? What we're talking about here is that we are inhaling on a regular basis nasty stuff for us. The impact of climate change on our food production is devastating and will continue to be devastating. On the very ecosystems that allow our species to survive and thrive are being attacked by the poison that we spew all over the world, that we dump into waterways, that we spray, that we squirt into the air. All of these things, if we don't get them under control, will be our own doom. And it is crazy that in a time where there's all these pressing threats and really reasonably major concerns like the Epstein stuff, we're going to totally forget about that discussion. It's like on the back burner, and that back burner is not an electric stove. You know what I mean? Like it's nasty. And I don't really know what we do about that, because obviously we're not going to convince Trump to care about this. So we pretty much have 3.5 years where we're just going to be sprinting backwards on this issue. I guess JD Vance went to Nantucket.
What the hell happened to JD?
Yeah, I haven't seen him much. And people greeted him with love and with humor. They held up a photograph of him, and the photograph is a bald version of him with bigger face cheeks, I guess, which is fun. Let's see this video too, what his greeting looked like. Someone went to a printing store and printed out that JD Vance photo. Can I get 6 feet by 6 feet, please, of this photo of JD Vance, of the vice president? And it's glorious. You gotta love it. Hey, on yesterday's main show, I talked about an interview that I did with comedian Brian Callen on his podcast Off Limits. And I looked a little bit through the comments. Oopsie daisy, what did I do? Oh, of course. Look at me being a complete idiot. I just ruined it. I botched it. Let me see if I can get back to this interview. Well, I can't. I lost it. Never mind. So, here it is. Here we go. Look at this.
Claim.
What the hell happened to Brian Callen? This is interesting. And as it's been out a little longer, some people who don't seem to be familiar with me, because he's more conservative, so his audience is more conservative, but there's actually a lot of supportive comments, which I was surprised by. Somebody saying I'm destroying things with facts. I mean, who? Me? Me? Okay. I mean, if you say so. Somebody said Luke seems to be smart, respectful, and composed. Look at that. Because some of the ones I read before were a little bit mean. But there's some nice ones. Luke seems pretty on point. I'm old and less likely to take someone his age seriously on certain things. But at the same time, I think people need to start veering away from attacking each other and slapping labels using slogans, etc. So if you take Luke on what he says, what he's saying alone, he at least has well-reasoned supporting arguments for his views. Basically, I've seen a ton of people just call this guy a kid or a gay libtard. That's so funny to imagine. Just someone out there who's more conservative, doesn't agree with me, and isn't inclined to listen to someone my age, but does know me as the gay libtard. That's like, this guy's not too bad. I've only heard him described by Benny Johnson as a soy gay libtard.
What's up, guys? It's Benny.
And then they continue saying, I don't agree with everything he says, but we need to stop that kind of stuff. It's a race to the bottom. I think it's the most damaging aspect of the Trump era. Like, you can't blame it all on him, but I think it's objectively true that Trump has supercharged the degradation of public discourse. It's hard to argue otherwise. People love to say Obama was divisive, etc. Like, listen to any Trump speech, every Trump speech, especially now. Yeah. Great convo. Okay. All right. Look at that. Some supportive people in a more conservative audience. That's always good to see, because I do in those interviews especially try to make sure that I'm taking into consideration where they're coming from so I could craft my argument, not just an I'm going to debate you and crush you, but a way that seems, thoughtful, because I think that the stuff we believe is thoughtful, and maybe you don't get that when you just go to my homepage and it's Trump gets destroyed and Marjorie Greene humiliate, right? But that's YouTube. In the substance, I try to make sure that what I actually bring is not uber divisive. Hopefully we make some stride in that direction. Andy Garcia says, I'm a U.S. Army soldier currently deployed in Egypt. It hurts to be far away from home with no way to stand up for my people. My family is from Mexico. Wow. Yeah. Jessica Castro said, Caitlin Collins, though, so glad she called out Gabbard. Yeah, that was good. Buzzsaw Betty became a member by clicking the join button. Jared has changed his profile picture to the South Park Trump in bed with Satan and became a member. Dornez said that JD Vance meme got someone turned away from visiting the United States. Yeah, that's a powerful meme. Paul Bellamy became a member as well. I appreciate all of you so much. All right, again, we have a very unconventional story later, so stick around for that about the serial killer in his interview with detectives. But we should touch on this, which is the video that everyone's talking about. And that is Epstein being asked in his deposition if he's been with Trump and women under 18. And you know how MAGA, as all of the Biden officials are coming into these congressional hearings and pleading the fifth, so they don't have to answer a bunch of what could be embarrassing questions about what was going on, But they say that's proof of guilt. Well, Epstein does a little thing called the Fifth Amendment.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
So according to MAGA, that it means yes. Right? That's what they've been saying. If you plead the fifth. Now, that's not always the case. But I think if you're going to plead the fifth, I think you should just do it across the board. It's weird for them to be like, were you friends with Trump? He's like, define that. Hanging out with him? Yeah, I was. All right. Did you ever spend time with him and socialize around minors? Fifth Amendment. Well, you answered the first question. So you're not just doing that as a general thing, but now that question comes up and you're pleading the fifth. notable. Now, this is happening as Ghislaine Maxwell, his co-conspirator and a perpetrator of the underage sex trafficking. Maxwell's attorney arrives at Florida courthouse for meeting with Deputy Attorney General. Oh, so Marcus and Maxwell are expected to meet. Okay, so Maxwell's actually going to meet with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. This just feels strange. Why can't they do it? You think Todd Blanche was Trump's personal lawyer for a while. So the Deputy Attorney General Trump loyalist is going to go in and do the interview. Is he really going to ask all the questions we want him to ask? Doesn't feel like he would. Meanwhile, Benny said, massive breaking. House panel orders chairman to issue subpoenas for Bill and Hillary Clinton in Epstein investigation. Which, by the way, Bill Clinton was another person with associations with Epstein. If you have any criminal evidence or evidence of criminality against him, watch this, MAGA, ready? Prosecute him too. Prosecute him too. Anyone of any political ideology. And if Bill were president right now and we're acting like Trump is, I would also be going, seems like Bill doesn't want certain information to get out about him. And so sure, you can subpoena them, I guess, if you want, but I'm confused. Are we subpoenaing Trump? This is kind of weird. They seem to be pushing forward on that, but not Trump so much. I don't know. Who am I to say? I'm just a soy boy. Chronic Shock said, Luke, can you shout out my dad, Paul, who became a fan after watching with me? Even in the UK, we rely on you. Say hi to him and mum on holiday in Amsterdam without me. Keep being you, kid. Okay, Paul, hi to you and mum on holiday without Chronic Shock. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Granny Danny said, not relevant, but I have to say, there's a Canadian artist named Lights who has an album named Pep, and y'all should collab at this point. Lol. Interesting. Drinkpep.com. Maybe I will. That'd be cool. If you want an energy drink that provides you the gut health gut health goals that you should be achieving. My family business, drinkpep.com. Okay, this one's good. Midas Touch said, learn to speak MAGA. And it's a MAGA translation to English. And it's MAGA says Obama cheated on the election. And that's translated to we are protecting pedophiles. Well, that's brutal. That's brutal. All right, on a different topic, apparently, I can't really introduce this one except for telling you who the characters are who will be speaking. You have Charlie Kirk,
balls in their hands.
Commentator. What? Why is my audio all wacky? Can you play that again?
Balls in their hands.
Oh, that is Charlie Kirk's voice. What's the other Charlie one that we have on
a beta?
Oh yeah, and Tucker Carlson. Ooh, a little remix from CBC, and their discussion here really baffled me. Let's listen.
Card. So, but the power of young white men in this country, if they were motivated and purposeful, young white men helped us win a world war and get to the moon and split the atom.
You better give him weed and fentanyl and benzodiazepines and DraftKings and porn just to kind of disable them so they don't rise up and eat you. That's what I would do. I'm just saying, like, if I were in charge of society, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm afraid of these guys.
You're so right. And I try to, I listen to your show all the time, Tucker. And
sorry.
When you say stuff like that, I try to challenge it. I'm like, is it really a centralized conspiracy? I'm like,
that's what I would do, Tucker says. I'd give them fentanyl, I'd give them porn, I'd give them weed, and I would just say, calm the white men down for a second. Okay. Also, what is this white men? They have this unique tiger inside, and if you don't give them fentanyl, they'll just erupt and they'll just be having sex with everybody. What about other men, like young men in general, you imagine to be like lions in the wild? Why don't you give the black men some porn, Tucker? Why don't they need some weed, Tucker? It's just weird. Like, white men could do amazing things if it weren't for XYZ. Is this exclusively to what? What's happening? All right, let me go back, because that whole little Tucker moment, I think, is one for the history books.
The Atom.
You better give him weed and fentanyl and benzodiazepines and DraftKings and porn just to kind of disable them so they don't rise up and eat you. That's what I would do. I'm just saying, like, if I were in charge of society, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm afraid of these guys.
You're so right. And I try to, so I listen to your show all the time, Tucker. And
sorry.
When you say stuff like that, I try to challenge it. I'm like, is it really a centralized conspiracy? I'm like,
no, it's a conspiracy of instinct.
No, but then I'm like, I got nothing. But it's like, if you were trying to make the most, by the way, if you look at,
maybe you're stupid then. Maybe the reason that we have a lot of social ills is because of complex incentive structures, like people wanting to make money selling drugs and people getting addicted to said drugs. Maybe the reason that people watch porn a lot is because it's porn. Because it's people humping each other's brains out. And our brains go, yes, please. For me, right? Like, yes, me. Is sort of maybe the reason that people bet on DraftKings is because you get a dopamine boost when you bet on stuff and you get money. And it feels like the only thing that can make you feel better about losing the money is winning more money. Maybe it's not that one powerful cabal is up in the sky going, "Mwahaha, the white men will eat our faces off if we don't give them porn."
Just the genetics of it. Like, I'm Scots-Irish. I'm like very disagreeable, boundary pushing. Yeah. Like.
That's genetic? Sorry, I'm pausing so much. That's genetic? I think that's definitionally cultural. I hate when people do that. They're like, I'm just like a go-getter. I must have gotten that from my mom. And it's like, if they mean like her personality, great. If they mean genetically, it's just a little bit confusing.
Rebellious. I know my genetic type. And by the way, genetics matter. We should talk about genetics more. It's not racist to say that. So my genetics come from all the way, from Scotland, from the Maxwell clan, fought alongside William Wallace. But if you want to like kind of calm down that kind of Appalachia fighting spirit, man, you would do what you're doing right now.
It's a Protestant spirit. I mean, let's just get
let's just
get really honest about it. It's the people who founded the country were Protestants. I'm as pro-Catholic as anyone could be. My best friends are Catholic. I'm
Calvinist too.
Not against Catholics at all. I love Catholics. However, this country was founded by Protestants because they think for themselves. And they're the legacy, they're the heirs of Martin Luther, who took on, the 1500-year-old church by himself.
Totally.
They are people who believe they communicate directly with God, that their conscience is more important than federal law.
So Charlie Kirk says it's not racist to talk about genetics, and I agree. I mean, it depends on how you're talking about it, for sure. But as a general rule, it's not racist to talk about genetics. I just think it makes people racist when Charlie Kirk does.
Balls in their hands. Balls in their hands.
And I just think that if they're so afraid of anti-white racism, they would remove Charlie Kirk as the spokesperson for the whites. Podcast listeners, I'm showing a photo of him on screen, which we love.
Balls in their hands.
We appreciate. I just think that if we're going to, as white men, if we're going to win back the PR game, if we're gonna stop people from dragging our name through the mud, then maybe Charlie Kirk shouldn't be the spokesperson. Maybe he hurts the cause. And it's just so weird. Like, what is it? What do they mean that white men have this unique fighting spirit and that has to be subdued? It's like, even some of the achievements they cited, they miss different identity groups that played a role. But yes, I mean, white men have done great things and they've done bad things. And black men have done great things and they've done bad things. And gay men have done great things. Now I'm going away from a racial group. And they've done bad things. And Indian men have done great things and they've done bad things. And get this, Asian women have done great things and they've done bad things. Yeah, I said it. So strange. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't. Oh, I lost it. So sad about that. Okay, what do we want to do here? So Columbia is paying Trump Columbia University is paying Trump a bunch of money. Another person saying, fine, we'll give you money. We'll pay the fine if you'll stop being mean to us. And here is, I always want to say Linda. Is it Linda McMahon? Something McMahon. I always forget. Who's the education secretary. So I don't know why I laughed there. That was weird. And she's saying this is just the beginning. But let me read some comments because I got a little bit behind. Grady Jenny said that. I already read that. DJ said 2016 court filing from Katie Johnson. DJT settled. On a bonus show, I just recently explained why that doesn't give it as much coverage, but discussed what the sequence of events there was. Chloe Audrey Autumn said, I'm a triggered Swede. Second place on innovation. You can have social safety nets and be motivated. Distress don't make people happy. Nordic model. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Great point. That's something I brought up in that interview was he was saying, if we enhance the social safety net more, then are we going to suppress innovation and people's go-getter spirit because they won't feel the need to, by necessity, start businesses, make money, work hard because they'll have their basic needs met? And my argument was, both in other countries and the United States, as you've seen increases in social safety nets, obviously if they're correctly implemented, in that same timeline, a huge skyrocketing of innovation. So clearly, raising the minimum standard of living for people doesn't remove the incentive for innovation, for entrepreneurialism, and for work ethic. And that was a correct point there. Shelley Taylor said, don't you just love a felon married to an immigrant is telling us that the problem is immigrants and felons. Pretty wacky, huh? Gunboat said, maybe one day a cis white man will be president. Inshallah. Paul, you said Bellamy. Pronounced Bellamy. Okay. Paul Bellamy said, thanks, Luke. Love your brain. Thank you.
Brain.
Wait. Just to be clear. Wait, what do you mean by that? Because of the porn bit? I was saying like we, like people, men. I was explaining the psycho reality. My brain is porn free since, I want to say 2003, but I'm actually born in 2002. But that would rhyme better. Porn free since 2003. For some reason, right when I was born, I was watching porn. Not really. So, speaking of, when I was born, July 25th, 2002. Tomorrow's my birthday. Oh, you didn't have to. Come on. I don't know about that. I should get a little happy birthday hat for the show tomorrow. That'd be funny. Okay, so here's Linda, who thought that AI was called A1, and she's saying we're going to go to the other universities and leverage the same sorts of payouts.
achievement. We're going to make sure that this is not just a short-term recognition and fix, but this is a long-term effect on Columbia. And we're really hopeful that this particular settlement agreement is going to be a template for other universities to follow, because I think it really does do what so many of us have looked at for our universities across the country for a long time, and saying that the viewpoints need to be balanced.
Okay, I totally just didn't even hear what she said, but you get the point. They're going to keep doing it. But here's something that came to my mind while I was just reading back some of these comments. It's so interesting. Like, I actually do dream of a world where we can get past identity politics and identitarianism. I always mispronounce that. Identitarianism. Where we put so much emphasis on immutable characteristics, right? Obviously, a world where we move beyond that would be awesome. Awesome. Does that mean that the pragmatic realities on the ground that are influenced by such identity group characteristics shouldn't be spoken about accurately? No, obviously they should, and that is going to be true for however long a time. But if we could eventually be in this world where you're really not restricted or uplifted or judged in any way based on those immutable characteristics, that would be ideal. And so for so long as people were bringing up racial disparities, and it was the left bringing up those historical and present impacts, the right would say, oh my gosh, why are you making things about people's race? And they would, cite MLK, continuity of character, come on, let's move past, we don't need to worry about that. Don't bring up your identity, don't bring up, like when people would get a little bit too cringe with leaning way too much into intersectionality is everything, right? They would say, oh, that's cringe identity politics. In some cases that was correct, in some cases it wasn't. And now they're doing the same thing, but just with white people, right? So now they're bringing it all back to those same characteristics they said the left was playing identity politics with too much. Now they're saying some of them will literally argue the most oppressed group in America is white men. So they're now being the very identity politics players that they were criticizing the left being, but with different groups. Fascinating, isn't it? All right, we move back a little bit to the Obama conspiracies to check out Caroline Downey, who is a National Review staff writer, a conservative, and defending Trump's argument that Obama engaged in some sort of coup against him, which is delusional. But she doesn't defend it very well.
Russia bombshell actually is.
It's not saying, a bombshell.
Well, actually it is. It's showing that Obama was indeed the architect of the Russian collusion hoax. Because he fed fake intelligence to the media, which served as the basis for multiple smear campaigns against the
What
sitting
exactly
president.
was he the architect of?
He's the one who gave his officials gave the assessment to the media that was derived from the discredited Steele dossier.
What did the assessment say?
The Steele dossier?
What did the assessment say? The IC assessment, what did it say?
The assessment was derived from the Steele dossier, which said that Trump was accused.
No, what did it actually say? Not what is it derived from. What did it actually say? What was the conclusion of the IC assessment?
I'm not going to regurgitate it verbatim.
I've said it 1,000
The conclusion was that the Russians tried to meddle in the elections, that they had done all sorts of things, but that there was no evidence that they had changed the result.
That they changed the votes. That is not what it said.
And if you don't know that,
but
then you shouldn't be on the
in any case.
Also, listen. In
any case.
This though.
Yes.
Okay.
Whew. Come on, Caroline. It's funny how I always picture it like. Whenever we were making PEP, I think we played that video, but I'd never been in one of those factories where they make stuff. And so I was in the assembly line thing to see how the cans were being made. And it was like, you have all these parts, right? You got the liquid, you got the cans, you got the tops, and then it goes, hopefully that is clear. And then it goes down. And it's sort of like, I feel like some of these pundits, and there are left-wing pundits like this too, are just at the end of that assembly line. They just take what was assembled for them, and then they just go with it. I tried to connect this to PEP, and now I'm totally lost in my own metaphor. So let me just abandon that and say, she's just regurgitating thank you, Jaden. She's just regurgitating the parts and pieces of what she's assembled on Twitter, and doesn't actually have, like, she doesn't know what the ingredients are. She doesn't know where the top came from. She doesn't know where the can came from. She hasn't read the ingredients on the bag. She hasn't read the crafted by three brothers with a passion for health. Pep fuels your day with live probiotics, balanced electrolytes, and essential B vitamins. She hasn't read all of these great facts about how good it is for you. She just got handed this can. It was assembled for her in the Twitterverse, on the Twitter assembly line, and she ran to her debate with it and went, look. And they went, okay, well, but what's in it? She was like, it's Pep. And it's like, no, but what's in it? And that actually does, I think, illustrate nicely, because she's going, something, Steele dossier. Like, she got that talking point. Steele dossier. I don't know. Obama directed it. Yes, but what did he direct? And then that gets to the point of why this isn't a bombshell, which is he directed an intelligence assessment that found stuff that was substantiated. And then there were separately people out in the media and politicians taking their claims to extents that didn't exist, and you could be mad at those people, but the conspiracy about Obama is just not correct. Okay, let me jump forward because I did tease it. We can get back to other stuff if we'd like and if we have time, but this is a really interesting story, okay? It's from a little while ago, but I just came across it. ABC 7 News says a notorious Bay Area serial rapist and killer who avoided capture for decades has died in prison. And this man's name is John Arthur Gatru, and he was convicted of murders of 3 people, a high school sophomore in Germany who was raped and strangled 2 young women with connections to Stanford. Gatru served only 6 years for the murder. So he was in Germany at a U.S. Army base, raped and murdered somebody, and only served 6 years because he was still a minor, I think is why it happened that way. And then he moved back to the U.S. to California and ended up murdering more young women and raping them, and then got away with it for 40 plus years and was just living amongst us. Stanford students. And I'm showing this because this video I stumbled across, and it's from the EWU. Please don't copyright me, please. EWU Crime Storytime. Yes, I'm a true crime viewer. Get over it. Some people are so mean about that. Serial killer realizes he's been caught 45 years later, it's titled. And I'll just show you some clips from his interview with detectives. For someone who got away with these murders for 40 plus years, he sucked so bad at this interview. He was so terrible at this interview, where he accidentally kept admitting things and going, wait, no, what? You said that. Like, no, you said that. So I'll play it here in a second. But Granny Danny said, tomorrow's my birthday too. Oh, happy birthday, Luke. I guess statistically that's not that crazy, because we have more people in the audience than the days in the year. Dang it. But that's still fun. We have the same birthday. Granny Danny sent 5 gifted memberships. That's sweet. Y'all can snatch those up. Concerned K said Linda McMahon's husband, Vince McMahon, the WWE guy, right? Scandal, Google it. Yeah, I've heard of all sorts of scandals with them. Then Dex's Sports sent in a super chat saying the Confederates were Christian. They fought to death to own slaves. Segregationists were Christian. Christianity is poison to any free nation because it permits evil disguised as good. I don't agree with that. I think that people can manifest their religious views into all sorts of good or bad outcomes. And you have plenty of examples of great things being done by all sorts of religious groups. And then there could be different versions of religious beliefs that present more dangerous logical conclusions, but acting like doing that level of demonization of one of the religions, I don't think is productive, and I don't agree with it. But the point about how bad things have been done by the group they're saying has done all the good things, well, exactly what I said before about all the groups and good and bad, and you can measure the different levels and put it into geopolitical and historical context, etc., etc. Rachel Atwood said, make an AI of McMahon doing Cuomo identity speech. Okay. Oh, that was funny. Cuomo being like, I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman. Here, take this down. We'll get to this interview with the serial killer as he's being caught, but that's too iconic. Let's watch it again. I am a woman. Maybe I searched that up. Cuomo, I am a woman. Let's see. As a yeah.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am black. I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health.
It feels like the beat's about to drop. As a New Yorker, break it down. I am gay. I am black. Jump. I'm a woman. I'm in a wheelchair.
And her choices, because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
Unless Downey wins, then I'm moving out of New York to Florida. Cuomo said, which is pretty bonkers. Okay, back to this. Here we go. Oh my gosh, more comments. Olivia Rodrigo. Are you the real Olivia Rodrigo? No, kidding. Said, Luke, your Tucker laugh is getting really good. Thank you. Stoneflower Dragon said, religion has always been used by those in power for control of the peons. Yeah, I mean, people seeking power will use whatever belief system at their disposal to leverage people into giving them more power. And let's be honest, having sex with them. That's another big part of this. Like cults, often the person leading the cult isn't the believer that all the believers following the cult are, but they're just exploiting people. Joe Shalom said, I believe in Tresus. It suffered, was chopped down, and nailed to a man. What? I'm confused. Oh my gosh. Courtney said he looks like Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, we do have it on good authority that this John Arthur Gatru may actually be Rudy Giuliani. Okay, so again, to frame back up, this guy got away with it for 40 years, was killing and raping young women, up to 3 or 4. We don't actually know how many people, but at least that he was charged for. And he sits down with detectives. They have the DNA, so this is kind of just for the heck of it, but he doesn't know that yet. And he's absolutely terrible at trying to defend himself.
Happened there?
Nothing.
Okay.
You know, I was accused, interviewed, and that was it.
Okay. What's this allegation? I got to ask you.
Yeah.
This allegation that this young girl made against you that you sexually assaulted her. Did that actually happen?
No, not that I. Yeah.
Not that I know of. Is that what he's about to say?
Not that I know of. And if I was arrested for specifically that, and then not even tried, and
put him in prison just for saying specifically. After 12, you can't say Pacifically or Paschetti. Prison.
Nothing's happened. Like I told him, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I never saw her again. You know.
Did you end up serving time for that? Do you remember?
No, I didn't. I didn't serve any time that I know of.
Okay.
I can't. Okay. It was so piddly that.
You didn't go to trial or anything like that? Okay.
According to multiple news sources, John was 31 years old when the teenager came forward, claiming he not only assaulted and strangled her, but threatened to kill her if she didn't comply. He received a 6-month sentence, serving just 30 days on weekends.
What are we... Take that down. So he already had murdered someone and served 6 years in Germany. Then he comes back and assaults someone and said and serves just 6 months on weekends. Is that what they said? And he says, I don't remember going to trial for that. Well, you did. Maybe he's kind of losing it, which is why he's going to stumble right into the detective's trap.
You know about DNA and how it's transferred, right?
Yeah. What this can be how it's transferred. I can always just tell.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, one is semen.
Okay.
One is from the mouth.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the only two that I know of.
Okay.
Now, if there's some that are bodily, other than these two transferred, then it's totally different.
Okay. And about technology now, advances in technology
is getting good.
Yeah, so they're
catching them every day.
Yeah. How do you think your DNA would be on a person?
Don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Especially this person or these two persons.
What two persons?
Well, that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The two young women.
So at that point in time, the detective had only brought up one person. And then Gatru here, after getting away with it for 45 years, goes, I don't know on the two people you're talking about. Well, that was easy. Also, when you go, how do you think that DNA gets from one person to another? I get that they're talking about assault and all of that. Something's a little bit strange about being like, oh, semen. Semen's for sure semen. Semen definitely is the DNA. And I always kept my semen away from the women that wait.
Okay. I showed you a picture of that one young lady.
Yeah, no.
Okay, what's the second young lady?
The one up on the hill.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two different places you're talking about.
Okay, one of them's up on the hill?
Yeah.
Okay, and then up on what hill?
So at this point, the detective never brought up on the hill or the second woman. And he's just giving away that he murdered her second woman up on a hill. Very good, John.
Well, you mentioned the hill.
You mentioned it.
I mentioned the hills.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the other one? Because I don't remember another one.
Well, there's the two girls. It's not both the same place.
Okay. I mentioned one girl up on the hill.
Yeah, okay, wherever she was, wherever the second girl was.
Oh, okay.
While the sergeant doesn't yet know it, another woman was found in the Palo Alto area in 1970.
Disturbing. All right, we'll jump forward to the ending part, but it's just something so... Like, this guy, you would just interact with this guy in the world. And not knowing. For 45 years, he just interacted with people. And he was just John Gatru down the street. Not knowing that he had murdered multiple people.
Yeah, I know that. But why it took so damn long.
As they push harder for the truth about Leslie.
Oh, wait, that part's crazy. Let me go back a little bit. This part's crazy. He just keeps here.
I give you the opportunity to explain it to us.
You don't have to. I thought about it, and that's all I can think of. No.
No what?
No, I'm not guilty.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you right now you are.
Okay, fine.
Okay. You had to have known this day was coming.
Yeah, I know that. But why it took so damn long?
Well, that's not what you're supposed to say. I didn't do this, but why did it take so long for you to find me?
They push harder for the truth about Leslie. John once again lets slip that she wasn't the only one he left in the hills.
So why her?
I don't even know who she is. If that's the first girl or the one girl that's up on the hill or whatever,
What do you mean the first girl?
Well, he said there's two people, there's two girls. Unless I misunderstood him. They were killed within probably an hour of each other and 2 hours of each other, or day, or who knows.
He's just giving it all away. That's the crazy thing when you learn about how a lot of these cases are solved. This one was going to be DNA, so that's easy, but it's weird how you would think any of us would sit down, even if you're totally innocent, and go, I'm not speaking to you until I have a lawyer. Which, by the way, if you're ever accused of something you didn't do, say that. If you ever did do the thing, then do what Gatru did. Give it all away, I guess. But if you didn't, you could just ask for a lawyer. You don't have to talk with them. But instead, he just sits there and starts talking about, at one point, I don't know if it's coming up or not, he goes, you know, this Stanford girl. And he's like, I never told you she went to Stanford. And he's like, what? I could just tell by her outfit.
How do you remember those details?
Some of the questions he's asked me.
Do you remember seeing any newspaper articles or media about those?
Nobody, but that girl there is not the other one that he showed me. If that's the girl there with, the other picture, I doubt it.
Why's that?
I mean, look at the body.
Mm-hmm.
It could be somebody else. I don't think they're the same one.
Is that why you don't recognize her?
No.
Because that's not the girl that you killed?
I'm not questioning. I don't recognize her. I've never seen her.
Do you think it was a different girl that you killed and that's not the one we're showing you?
I didn't kill any girl.
You didn't kill the girl in Germany?
No. Well, that's total different. That's when I was...
That was in Germany. What happens in Germany stays in Germany. You ever heard of it? Also, earlier he denied doing that. Now he's saying, well, I was a kid. It was youthful jubilance. It's like what the Tucker guy said. It's like what Tucker and Charlie Kirk said. If you let a young white man with no fentanyl and porn and DraftKings and marijuana, they're just going to start murdering people.
No. Well, that's total different. That's when I was 18 years old or younger.
In a final confrontation, investigators forced John to face the mounting evidence against him.
There's a situation in Germany where a girl ends up dead and you weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a situation
here
that was years later after you came back to the States where a girl ends up dead and you say you weren't there, yet your DNA is there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the chances are of that happening?
I don't know.
What would you do if you were us and you were investigating this case? What would that look like to you?
There's a brick wall.
What do you mean there's a brick wall?
Well, I mean, you found out, you couldn't find out, so.
What do you mean I found out and I couldn't find out?
Oh, nothing. I'm just let it go.
Well, you understand it's my job not to let things like that go, right?
I have nothing else to say about it.
It's got to be quite a burden, John.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to put the questioning from here on.
And then finally he asked for a lawyer. So he effed up on that and ended up going to prison. Way too late. It's just, yeah. I'm trying to just have fun with the interview itself because obviously the gravity of the case is just so disturbing. But it's wild how many people, because of DNA, got caught later because of DNA, but got away with it for so long. And then it makes me think, how are we solving cases before? It's like, your sister was murdered? Yes. Did anyone see? No. Was the murder weapon there? No. All right. Well, that's all we can do. Looks like the killer's going to go free. Like, how are we investigating cases before at DNA? It's crazy. Oh, my goodness. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube later, and I was introducing the video and then it just cut straight to this moment, it's because they copyrighted us and we had to trim it out. So you didn't get to see any of what we just watched. Hopefully that doesn't happen and you can watch it, but I did want to warn of that. If you're just seeing this after my introduction to the video, didn't see the videos because we had to edit it out because that network copyrighted us. But wowza. I guess I'll leave you on that just uplifting note. I appreciate all of you so much, and I will talk to you next time. If I'm back, happy birthday, Renee, Jesse Taylor's mom. Now, goodbye.